Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. My name is Cory. As always, if you like the content you see here on the channel, please consider subscribing. We really would appreciate that. On today's episode, you won't believe what I just did. Alright, and like you saw in the title of this video, you won't believe what I just did because I don't believe what I just did. And no, it's not the fact that I own Great Western Trail. That's not the reason for this video. That is such a wow factor and that I'm just like, oh wow, how can somebody own Great Western Trail? Because Great Western Trail, spoiler alert, has been my top #1 favorite game of all time for the past 3 or 4 years running on all of my top 50 favorite board games of all time list. Great Western Trail has always been #1. Alexander Pfister, one of my all-time favorite designers as well. Pretty much every game he comes out with, I really do enjoy it. And no, it's not the fact that I own this game, because honestly, this game is great, and I do highly suggest that everybody out there give this game a try. If you like Euro games, if you like worker placement games, if you like semi-deck building and kind of deck or hand building, hand manipulation, along with worker placement, I highly recommend Great Western Trail because it is fantastic. What I can't believe I just did is the fact that I bought Great Western Trail 2nd Edition. Why? Why did I need to buy Great Western Trail 2nd Edition? I bought it at my local game store, $70. $70 isn't cheap, and I decided to buy it anyway. As you see hanging on the wall back there, I've got the Rails to the North expansion to Great Western Trail, and that expansion doesn't even exist for the 2nd edition of Great Western Trail, and yet I bought it anyway. And in this video, I'm here to kind of tell you why. I guess I'm trying to justify my purchase the best I can to explain some of the differences between these two versions of the game. So there are a few minor tweaks to the different versions of this game, and most notably, this is the only edition of the two games that you can really play solo unless you were to maybe print off the solo variant online. I don't really know exactly how it works yet, but this is the only one that technically plays solo. The other things that are kind of noteworthy to go over here is that you can choose your own cowboy hat for your meeple that you're sending out on the map. So depending on what player color you'd like to be, we got yellow, blue, red, white. It comes with a neat little cowboy hat that you can put on top of your meeple to choose your player color for the game. It's also got a new breed of cows, and I did look through the box and punched out all the tokens and took out all the cards and looked through it all, and it does look like there are a few new breeds of cows that change up the game a little bit. One, most notably, there is a breed of cow. It says here it is the Cemental cow that actually goes from calf to cow. So you can upgrade the cow from its calf or baby form up to an adult cow throughout the game to get you more points and sell them for more money. So that's pretty neat. Another thing that was a drastic change between the two, as you can clearly see, is the artwork, not only in the box but on the game board themselves. The artwork is a little bit different. You also have, instead of trading with the Native Americans on this version of the game, you are taking out bandits in this version, which seems to me that it's kind of a little bit more thematic. I guess, you know, trading with Native Americans, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but taking out bandits just seems like a lot cooler thing to say to your friends if you're introducing them to the game for the first time. You know, you're going along the Great Western Trail, taking your cattle up to Kansas City to sell them to these different markets in different cities, to bring them out on the railway system. And the further out you can send your cattle with the different varieties of cattle to these prospective buyers, the more money you gain, and essentially the more points you gain at the end of the game as well. But all in the meanwhile, you're coming across these different houses that do different actions for you. It could be other players' buildings that you're coming in contact with, and you might have to pay them money to then pass through. Or if it's your own building, it'll give you a unique special action that nobody else has if you have built that building and they have not. But also, you are taking out these hazards along the trail, and you might come across some bandits that are trying to rob you. And if you can take those bandits out, you are gaining points for that also. And that just sounds kind of a whole lot cooler than just, oh, you're trading every once in a while with the Native Americans along the way to get points and various things. And I don't know. I'm just really trying to justify this purchase here. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job, but if I were to recommend to you which one of these to buy if you don't have Great Western Trail yet, I would probably recommend getting the second edition of the game. The updated artwork, at least on the box and on the board and the way the cards look, will be more significant as they release more editions of the Great Western Trail game in the next year and 2 years. There's like an Argentina version that's coming where you can trade sheep, and I forget what the name of the other version is, but they're switching up the theming of the animals a little bit. If you are a completionist and looking to make the complete collection of the games in this lineup, then this is definitely the one you'd like to get to complete the artwork on your shelf. This one has the support of the only expansion for the game, which, like I said, is the Rails to the North expansion, which is a really good expansion and might be a reason to get it. But honestly, if you don't have the game yet, you might want to dive into getting the second edition right away. And also, I don't know, how out of stock the first printing of the game is, but this second edition, hopefully they come out with, if not the same expansion, maybe some more expansion content for it. And I'm pretty sure they will expand upon it here in the near future. But this is definitely the one to jump on board with if you haven't gotten it yet. If you're like me and you own Great Western Trail, the first edition, and or with the expansion, do you need the second edition of the game? Well, no, not really. But for me, I don't know. I mean, the artwork was cool. The introduction of the new cattle was kind of neat. And the fact that you're taking down bandits along the trail seemed like a cooler concept to me when I'm introducing players to the game for the very first time. So those little minor things were kind of neat. I will be selling this game, or the first edition of the game, along with the expansion here, and just hoping that more expansion content will come out for the second edition here soon, which I'm really thinking they will expand upon it. Oh, also another thing I forgot to mention about the second edition, which is pretty much a standard in board games nowadays, are the player boards are double layered. So you have these little areas on the player boards themselves that hold the pieces firmly in place, so that if you accidentally bump your player board or the table gets shifted or moved, your pieces will stay in place on your player board and not get jostled around or moved around in any way. So the dual layered player boards are really nice, kind of a nice thing to have, and just feel like more of an upgraded component to the game versus the first edition. But like I said just a minute ago, if you have the first edition of the game, you probably don't need the second edition of the game. But if you're crazy like me and you can justify it for the reasons that I had mentioned, then you probably will end up picking it up anyway. So ultimately it's up to you in that respect, but I just wanted to make a quick video just to kind of go over the differences between the first edition and second edition of Great Western Trail, to let you know what the main differences are, to see if it would be worth it for you to pick up one or the other, or if it sounds interesting to you and you don't have any of the versions of the game, to go out and hopefully pick it up and give it a try. Like I said, it's my favorite game of all time currently, #1 on my list of best board games ever created. So I really do enjoy the game, and it's kind of a biased opinion on this here, and that could be persuading my decision to have both editions of the game too. So I'm not saying it's for everyone to go out and pick it up if you already own it, but anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. So until next time, you all have a great day and have fun gaming.